This is Kim Meyer, host of Choose to Rise. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hello, I'm Selena Yvette, host of Stories from Planet Earth. Thank you so much for tuning into my very first episode. Before we jump into the interviews, I thought I'd introduce myself. Hi, I'm Selena. It's nice to meet you. This podcast has been in the works for a few months now, and I'm just so excited to have the opportunity to share stories from our fellow Earthlings. Because that old phrase, we all have a story to share, I truly believe in that. Everybody has a story that we'd like to hear. Even you. Yeah, you listening right now. So that's what this podcast is all about, interviewing people who are willing to share those stories. Because whenever we share our stories, those triumphs and the blunders and hilarious things in between, we create a connection. This place called Earth becomes just a little bit smaller, and maybe we realize we're not as different as we think we might be. That is the goal of this podcast. And so with that being said, I figured it's only fair that if I'm asking my interviewees to bear it all, I should probably get in on it too. So where do I start? I've lived in Colorado pretty much my whole life. I was born in Massachusetts, but whenever my dad joined the military, we moved around a bit until we ended up here when I was about 4. They did end up getting divorced after my sister was born. And after that, things got a little rocky. My mom remarried. The man she remarried ended up being kind of a monster. Definitely a monster. He put us through a lot of abuse, and I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of that, but really he made us all feel like we were prisoners in our own home. And I don't want to ignore this dark time. I feel like it's important to acknowledge it because even though it was difficult, it really did shape who I am today. And as much as it can be difficult to talk about these things, I do think it's so important to bring it to light because situations like this, domestic violence and abuse, it's way more common than you might think. And I also just wanted to acknowledge that even though my family went through this really difficult time, we came out the other side better than we could have ever imagined. The man my mom remarried directly after my father did end up going to prison. He's going to stay there for the rest of his life. But then the real hard work began. That anxiety sticks with you. Whenever you go through a traumatic situation, it's not just in that instant that you're dealing with it. It's for years. Maybe even your whole life for some people. So, yeah, it stuck with me. It stuck with all of us, I think. I went to therapy. I dealt with anxiety for years. I still do sometimes, but I share this because at the end of the day, I was able to pull myself out of that dark space. And I truly feel night and day from where I was just 2 years ago. I really attribute that to storytelling. I feel like hearing the stories of survivors who've been through domestic violence and abuse, how they found life outside of that fear, that motivated me to keep pushing towards a brighter future. And that's why I wanted to create this podcast, because I feel like if a story that I tell or one of my guests tell can change at least one life or change a perspective, maybe make somebody feel a little bit less alone, I'll be happy. That's what it's all about. So that's just a little bit about me and my motivation to get this podcast off the ground. Since I don't have someone here interviewing me traditionally, I thought it would be kind of fun to wrap this first episode up with just some get to know you questions I found on the internet. So I found 33 questions for an interview with yourself. I probably won't do all 33, but I'll work through a few and we'll get to know each other a little better. So what do I do for a living? I'm a social media manager. So I work for a little startup here in Colorado. We're a digital marketing one-stop shop, essentially. So I take care of the social media. We have a photographer and a videographer and our boss, who pretty much dabbles within all of those categories. I really love what I do. It's pretty awesome. I get to work from home sometimes. Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. It's very mobile. Like, I just went to Vegas back in December and I was able to just work from there. And it was, not too shabby. How old am I? I am 25 years old. Yep, I just turned 25 last December. I feel like this is going to be a good year. 2020 feels pretty good. What's next? What was your childhood dream? Oh man, I wanted to be a marine biologist or an anthropologist or an archaeologist, something like that. So I did not end up in that career field whatsoever, but I did study journalism in college, so I've gotten to, through my studies, learn a lot about just a lot of different subjects through writing and interviewing people. So I feel like even though I didn't get to do that, there's always the opportunity to maybe write a story about it one day. Who knows? What makes me smile? I love just getting to go out in nature and just be in it. Just the other day, me and my little dog, we went out and took a little hike through Garden of the Gods. Those in Colorado are familiar. And it was just so nice to be surrounded by it. Just, you feel so held. I don't know how to describe it in any other way, but moments like that where I'm just completely in the moment, just enjoying this environment we get to live in. That's what makes me smile. And my family and my friends and eating my favorite foods. Do you love yourself? Yes, I do. I don't think that's something I could have said a few years ago, but I truly, wholly love myself for everything that I am. And I think I'm so happy that I can say that now. What do you fear the most? This is kind of silly, but one of my biggest fears is aliens. I know that is so ridiculous, but I think it's like a fear of the unknown thing. I am terrified of the concept of aliens. I don't know if they've been here. I don't know if they're even capable of getting here. But just the thought of another species of creatures out there living on a planet, potentially visiting us, that really freaks me out. I know it's completely illogical, but that's like my biggest fear. What is your favorite word? I like the word kerfuffle. It's a good one. Yeah. When was the last time you cried? I cry all of the time. I don't know, have any of you seen that video of Kristen Bell? And she's on the Ellen show and she's talking about whenever her husband surprised her with a sloth for her birthday, and she says, I cannot go like below a 4 or above a 7 on the emotional scale, or I'm crying. Like, that is me. I am crying all of the time. I am such a sensitive little thing. I don't know. If I'm too sad, I'm crying. If I'm too happy, I'm crying. If I'm too angry, I'm crying. So I honestly can't remember the last time I cried specifically, because it happens like a lot. That's so embarrassing, but you know. What is the best thing that could happen to you right now? I think honestly getting to do this podcast is one of the best things that is happening to me currently. And I think just getting to continue doing it, that's going to be the best thing that's happening. I'm very excited. What is the first thing you do in the morning? The very, very first thing I do every morning is make my bed. I think that it's honestly such a good habit to pick up because I haven't always been this way. Like I used to never do my bed. But there's something about just getting up. First thing you do is just like get your bed in order. It makes you feel kind of accomplished somehow, like you've done something. I know it's like the smallest thing possible, but I don't know, it makes me feel good. Starts the day off right. Sum up your life in one sentence. Ooh, that's a good one. I might have to use that on my actual interviewees. One woman's anxious journey to finding joy. Yeah, that sounds good. I think that, I don't know if I'm supposed to elaborate because it's one sentence, but I think that has been kind of my journey thus far, is just coming out of this like anxious mindset and kind of learning to coexist with it and just be more mindful and find gratitude every day. That is my life. Are you happy? Yeah, I'm really happy right now. I think life is good. I'm so excited to see what 2020 has in store, what this podcast has in store. I'm beyond excited just to talk to people and to learn a little bit more about other people's journeys. I think it's going to be so rewarding, and I'm so, so grateful. If you're listening right now, you are just with me at the very beginning, and buckle up. I'm so excited to see where this goes. So I think that's pretty much it. I don't really have a ton else to say right now. This one is a bit of a short one, but I just wanted to do a very brief introductory before we get into the meat of this podcast. Thank you again for listening. Be sure to tune in every Monday for Stories from Planet Earth. Next week, I will actually have someone as an interviewee, so be sure not to miss it. Subscribe if you feel so inclined already. Leave a review, and I'll see you next week.